Hello and welcome, it's Anya from Digital Painterly. Today I prepared for you a drag and drop template, how to use them, and this is the Vintage Victorians edition. So first of all, let's take a look at our scene. I have prepared this lovely salon, beautiful living room. There are many other backdrops in this collection, so it's very easy with just a move button, move tool to drag all your characters and everything into place, so you can make endless possibilities with your families, because I had so many requests. So here we are, and the scenes are slightly blurred just so it gives you like a depth of field. So first of all, let's see what we have in our pack. We have textures, different type of textures. I also have added here all my prepared animals. So this is what you would normally have. And then I would cut it out with a masking method. I will prepare for you a separate little video how to do it on different software. So you have that in different video. Now today we're just going to focus on how to arrange things, how to make things work for those particular templates. So here we have a body of a woman, body of a man, a little girl and little boy. And with a move tool we're just going to pop them in that area. So very easily you just move tool, and these are beautifully cut out for you. So if you want to change the position of your character, you can flip it horizontally just like that, so it matches the rest of your group. Let's just drag and drop. It's just as simple as that, and then you can resize it. I tend to kind of go from that position just to give it a good look. There are full bodies, so you could include full bodies, but then heads will be quite small. So we transform that a little bit smaller. Control T to activate your transform tool. And now we're going to drag your other character here. And at any point you can reactivate that layer and you can just adjust them in the right position. Now let's take another template. I'm just going to turn that off so it's a little bit neater. And let's drag it over to our scene. And this girl seems a little bit big here. Let's take smaller rather. Turn it off, and one more. So we're going to have to flip this one horizontally to match. So we're going to image rotation and flip horizontally, and now he's ready to drag. And it looks really natural when you stack them one behind the other. It looks really good. And you have a few different color options. You have lots of accessories as well. Now let's get our heads of the pets. You can also use human people, that sounds so drastic, human heads, human characters. So this one, we're gonna apply the mask because this one wasn't, and let's just drag it. And like I said, there will be separate video on how to cut it out for beautiful effects. So you have actually hair rather than helmets. That's going to be our dad. I know it doesn't make sense. The cat parents and dog children, but you know what? It's just for fun purposes. So you can even mix them with human parents and pets children, or other way around. The whole point is to have fun. So let's move this little doggy. This is actually my dog, Daisy, and she's gonna be a little girl, and so on. It's just so simple. Once you have those heads ready, prepared, it's really easy to just put them into place. What a stark look the mummy has. I'm going to sample that color from her fur, a little bit darker, and we're going to create another layer just under her head layer. So drag it underneath. under the dress as well. And with fairly soft brush, just put a little bit of her body, otherwise it's transparent. Some of the clothing have that kind of deeper cutout area, and just adding on, I'm going to make it smaller and I'm going to change opacity to lower just to make it really believable. And once it's covered by head and just tiny bit will peek out, it will not be so bad. So you see it's only tiny bit, but that little detail counts as well when you want to make it believable. So we just have one more missing, a little boy, and that's gonna be this cheeky Jack Russell, because I thought our little brothers are sometimes like Jack Russells. This is our family set in a scene, and you can kind of look if there's anything that needs fixing. I think her head is not properly masked here, so I can always drop a mask on and go over with a black brush just to hide it. I always prefer to use masks rather than eraser, because this is kind of reversible thing. You can always come back to white and bring the elements back in. So we have our accessories as well. I just opened those files and it's really easy. Again, we're just going to drag and drop. Have you ever played with those paper dolls when you were little and creating the outfits together? Some of you might have. A hat for Dad. And we're going to be creating the shadows as well, so don't worry about it just yet. It's good to do it in stages, so you get your scene, your characters, the bodies, and then your characters. Then you get your accessories and then your shadows. The good thing is everything is kind of on a separate layer, so you can swap things if you're not happy with anything, if you want a different one. So it gives you really lots of flexibility. This is a little boy's cap. I'm gonna put it over, and because you can resize it, it can work for boys, for men. So what I'm doing here, I'm flipping it kind of manually, so just dragging over that transition point. You have to be careful because it can distort sometimes and look a little bit unnatural, but just go by your eye and see if it looks okay. Now we get a nice little bow for Daisy. So they are nice big size, and you can always make it smaller, make it right for your size. I also would love to change the color of this bow so it matches the dress. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation, and here on the top slider you can change different color, and then I have put down saturation on the lower bar so it's not so it doesn't steal all the attention, and it matches that dress a little bit more. And then bring the lightness down so it's a little bit more matching to that dress. You have to tweak it, make sure it looks okay in a general picture as well. So everybody has hat but Mum. We need to make sure Mum has a gorgeous hat on as well. And just drag it. So it takes sometimes a little bit of play trying out, but that looks fine. I'm just taking opacity down because I had an idea about the ears. Because these are pets, animals, we can make it a little bit more fun. So what I like to do sometimes, it's kind of make it look as if there are holes for the ears in the hat. So I'm just masking. Apply the mask. I made the opacity of this layer lower so I can actually see where those ears are. I'm bringing the hardness of my brush up, and just going over the ear. And don't worry if you go over the line a little bit, because with a mask you can always come back with the white and redo it. So once I have roughly the idea where those ears are, I can then bring the opacity of the hat again and then fix it with a white. All the way up to 100. There you go. And now back with a white brush and just going over. This time opacity down a little bit, so it's a bit more subtle. It's a fur, so you just want to go into tiny little lines, imitate that fur texture. This one's a bit tricky because they're here in a not very logical place. So I'm not quite sure about this side of the ear, this left ear. I'm just gonna get rid of that left one because it doesn't make sense with a flower in front, in the back. So sometimes it just takes a little tweaking and trying things out. This is our scene pretty much done, but we're going to do a few more tweaks that will bring it to the next level. And because of the lighting comes up from different areas in this picture, there is not just one source of lighting. You can get away with having light all over the place in here. You have two different textures, and I suggest you use both of them just to give that extra unified look. And just turn it so it fits right. And now that layer, turn it on. You can have it on multiply, or you can have it on soft light or overlay. You can just try whatever works the best. So this time soft light, and bring the opacity down. Here is about 40, but it's not set in stone. You can experiment. Just make sure that layer is on the very top of everything. So you can see it gives a very subtle little texture, as if it was an old photograph or little marks. So it makes it look vintage all over, not just the scene and their clothes, but actually on their faces. Sometimes it can give a very ugly effect on the skin. So if you're bothered by that, you can always just erase that. You can mask it, or you can use a razor. There's not that much you have to be very precise. You can take opacity down of this erasing. So these pets look like Victorians, but not zombies. We don't like that look of the zombies on their skin. Time to move our second layer of texture. Exactly the same process. I'm just locking down the one that is already done, so I'm not picking it up by mistake. Easily done. And just stretch it out. Don't worry too much about quality, because it's such an effect. It can be very small file, the texture. Soft light on this one, or multiply. Soft light. It's going to be very subtle, but it just tricks your eye on the long run. You can see here those little lines, a bit like fur, all over. Just double checking everything. I'm happy with the whole composition of everything. Now let's add another layer, empty layer, and we're going to fill it up with one of kind of brown. You can sample it from your image, or just choose nice brown generic color, just like that, and put in a soft light. Now we're going to bring opacity down, because it's vintage, so we want to give it kind of like a vintage feel, and everything becomes in the same tone. So this is really good way to unify the whole image, because obviously their faces are from different eras, from modern times, and it's a good way to do that way. Now we're going to add shadows. So I added empty layer, put a multiply, and we're going to work in stages with shadows. So I have placed this layer just above all the dresses, all the outfits. And we're thinking, where is that shadow going to go? Make sure you're using soft brush. If the shadow goes too far, just delete it with your erasing tool. And just think, where is the shadow going to create? Behind this boy, because he stands in front. The closer they are to each other, that's going to be harsher shadow. The feather, it's going to be kind of softer falling one. And like I said, it's good to work in stages, so you don't just go all around your layers, and it just makes the work so much easier. Now I'm trying to find a next stage, so all the heads, and that's going to go over the heads but under the accessories. Bringing my opacity down a little bit and just going, definitely going to be shadow there under that big hat. And accessories really add this, if you add shadows, they really add nice realistic feel for you if you create that. Just under that bow. I'm going to add another layer just under our textures and pop it in overlay mode. Use white brush, and this way you can add a little highlights if you like. Just be not too crazy with those, because it looks very effective, but you want everything to match nicely, so just add it sparingly. It's just easy to get carried away with highlights. Oh, these eyes are a bit too much, I think. You can always come back. And you also can turn down opacity of that whole layer, just to make it look a bit more subtle. So we can take away this scene, just take the padlock off, and you can make it a little bit more blurry with Gaussian blur. You can see, you can make it more blurry or just leave it as it is, and it's up to you. That's a bit extreme because you lose all the detail. I think the way they are set up is actually looking fine. And I have prepared for you one background that is very neutral. Let me show you how to apply that. So this is our plain background. It's gorgeous. It's a lovely texture, and just literally drop over your last scene. Make it the size with your transform tool. It doesn't matter if it stretches a little bit. And this is your portrait without the scene, but on a plain background. So look how beautifully all those colors work together. So I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. And obviously the link to this lovely template will be down in your description. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.